5:06, and I know we want to make sure we have plenty of time for Monty's presentation tonight. So I'm going to try to talk and admit at the same time as we go along, and then we can get to Monty's presentation. So welcome to the March chapter meeting. We decided to make this a spring social. We had a lot of comments from people that were enjoying the Zoom rooms and feeling like we needed a little more connection, a little more time for that. So we're going to do just that tonight. I'm going to see if I can. Why is mine? Sorry, let me organized here. There we go. Okay, so upcoming events. We've got quite a few things to share. We've got Thursday. So tomorrow is a very busy day with meetings. If you haven't cleared your calendar yet, you should, because there's events from morning to afternoon tomorrow. So we have the ARI study class from 5 to 6:30 tomorrow. We have from noon to 1, we have the restart for the tracings committee. We've heard that you want to see that resurrected in some sort of form or reiteration of it. And so we'll be starting up a committee to help with that. If you'd like to be a part of that, please email Chris Burnham at info@aia-siliconvalley.org. And Society of Architectural Historians and Women in Architecture are partnering on an event Thursday, March 25th from 8 to 9:30, New Histories and New Practices. And we encourage the partnership between the two. They are hosting this event, and we will be hosting another joint event with them in the near future. Thursday, March 25th at 12 p.m. Technology is your competitive advantage. One learning unit. I didn't mention that on the previous ones, but this is being provided by Arch IT, which is our IT partner. They are a sustaining partner, and we want to support them and learn about what they're doing and how they can assist architects in the course of their business and their work. So please join us for that presentation. Oh, out of order. Sorry, I knew there was another March 18th event. So from 10 to 11:30, the future of downtown San Jose, and this is our board director, Katia McLean, will be participating along with Mayor Liccardo and other San Jose business leaders in this year's virtual Future of Downtown panel discussion. So if you'd like to join, that's tomorrow. And this is our Stanford series that they put on every year for us. We participate we collaborate with them. This year it's the Public Realm Architecture, Landscape, Urban Design series. And this goes from April to May. And there is a link on our website. These are all in our events page. April 4th is our scholarship application deadline. So if you know a student or can encourage a student or an educator to encourage their students, our application deadline is April 4th. And every year we have a great crew of students that participate and submit for scholarship applications. So that will be closing. Scholarships are awarded end of May, beginning of June. Renew online. If you have not already renewed, please make sure that you do so, and you can contact AIA and get your renewal in through renew.aia.org. If you have already renewed, thank you. We're glad you're continuing on with membership this year. And then a look ahead for the rest of the year, we have the April chapter meeting will be Return to the Office Part 2 in partnership with Coronet NorCal, and that will be revisiting the conversation we had last July on what it's going to look like when we go back to the office. May 19th is our Microsoft tour, and June 16th is to be determined. We'll have a plan for the chapter meeting in June and update you. July 21st will be a Pechacucha, and in August, anticipating that everyone will be taking a summer break, vacationing somewhere. going on a plane, a train, an automobile. We're going to go ahead and skip the August meeting and let everybody enjoy their vacations. September will be our annual business meeting as usual. October, our advocacy committee is going to lead that meeting, and that topic will be determined soon. The November meeting will be led by the Coke committee, and then of course our holiday party in December. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Thank you, Chris.
The president.
Thank you, Chris. All right. Tonight we're going to have a presentation of Those Who Inspire Us by Mani Farhadi. But before we get to that, we'd like to acknowledge our sponsors. Get the next slide. Our premier sponsor is Earthbound Homes. And we have some new sponsors at the silver level and the gold level, but our sponsors at the gold level are Block Construction and our new sponsor, California Drywall. Our silver sponsors are Lionakis, AWV by Gris Systems, Ceraclad, Arch IT, Alpha Tech, Bay Print Solutions, and Novo Construction. All right, next slide. So we're going to have a Those Who Inspire Us presentation. And if you go to the next slide, I'm going to introduce Mani Farhadi, Associate AIA. She's been involved in the Women in Architecture Committee for quite some time. Mani and I met when we were studying for the ARE together back when she worked for Steinberg Group. So she has been in the field of architecture for over 30 years. Mani and I also served together on the Los Gatos Bond Oversight Committee. But today, Mani is the Senior Facilities Planner at Stanford School of Medicine. So everybody, here's Mani Farhadi.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen and start the slideshow. From the beginning and change the settings. There we go. Thank you. It's also a Los Gatos night between Jennifer and I, who live in Los Gatos, and the person bringing the drinks is also a Los Gatos restaurant, Lexington House. So, all right, let's advance the slide. So, I want to take a moment and ask you to think back. Was there an aha moment for you that ignited your passion to want to be an architect? For me, it was 1976 in Iran at the International Congress of Women Architects. And I'll tell you that story of my inspiration and why it matters to talk about that. Certainly, my father, Nader Ardalan, being an architect and a planner, was my first influence. He'd take me to groundbreaking and grand openings and sites during construction. He's an internationally known architect who has lived and worked back and forth between two continents. Though he was born in Iran to Iranian parents, he was actually raised in New York. And he attended Carnegie Mellon, where he met my mom in Pennsylvania, and they married and moved to Massachusetts, where he then attended Harvard Graduate School of Design. After graduation, they came to San Francisco, where he worked at SOM, and my sister and I were born in San Francisco. But because he hadn't grown up in Iran, he actually didn't know his heritage, and neither did my mother. So they did what's called a reverse migration and went back to Iran in their mid-20s. He went from sketching at archaeology digs to having his own international practice. And we traveled all through Iran as kids, exploring the routes. We drove around the desert and old cities in our Land Rover. We saw the culture and the history through their eyes of fascination. Together, they co-authored The Sense of Unity, the Sufi tradition in Persian architecture in 1973. It was a pioneering book about traditional principles. They researched all the geometry behind the buildings and raised the importance of spiritual symbolism in architecture, expressing sort of the deeper meaning of life. This book is still taught in architecture schools in Iran even today. So, you know, words matter even decades later. My father also collaborated with Lou Kahn. Lou Kahn came to Iran, and together they designed a solar energy city in Iran, which is this, sort of the master plan drawing. It was never built. But his designs were very culturally relevant to the climate and the tradition. It was very important to him that the work reflect the environment. So he was practicing what he was advocating. He then spent a decade in Kuwait, expanding his work on ecological response in the Middle East. Though he's semi-retired now, living in Florida with my stepmother, he's now convincing Floridians of the rising sea level. He's still writing, researching, and sharing his advocacy for sustainability, and he's held in high regard. But let me take you back a moment to that moment of inspiration, because he kind of set the plan in motion for that moment for me. There had been a series of international congresses held in Iran at the invitation of the Queen, who had studied architecture in Paris. She and the committee brought together great minds of the time to Iran. They were mostly men. But in 1970, they had an international conference with Buckminster Fuller was invited, Lou Kahn, Paul Rudolph. My father attended as well. He's in some of these photos. 1974, they had another international conference. The speakers were Charles Correa, Balkrishna Doshi, Moshe Safdie, Jose Luis Serra, Paulo Soleri, and my father. And so the impact was they were having these international alliances. They were sharing ideas across countries and continents. My father and others collaborated on a Habitat Bill of Rights, and it left a lasting impression on the community. Around the same time, though, they were not oblivious to the women's movement of the 70s. So then the Queen hosted an International Congress of Women Architects in 1976. My mother was invited as a speaker, though she's not an architect. She was invited because of the research she'd done with my father and the book they wrote together. So my mom actually took me to this Congress with her. She had recently gotten divorced, and I had just become a teenager. So I accompanied her. And the theme of the conference was the crisis of identity in architecture. There was many countries, like 23 countries represented. Some of the conclusions they had was really, they were doing a call to action that the energy crisis and environmental pollution would have to be controlled, kind of the same issues we're facing today, that vernacular architecture was more sustainable, that women can help develop practical and spiritual solutions. Women are 50% of the world's population, so we must contribute to improving the quality of the built environment. And as you can imagine, it was really a very important moment in all of our lives. How did that experience change me? Well, it wasn't until I saw women architects did I think that I could be one, even though my father was one. This is a photo of some of the women from the conference. It was really eye-opening to see a group of women come together to make things happen. And they were talking about identity at a key point of my development. And also they accepted my mother as one of their own as an author, even though she's not an architect. She's seated in the front row here. And some of the names on the side are some of the attendees. These are, I attempted to put some names to the attendees, and I'm still working on getting all the names correct. So from a woman's perspective, they talked about being a star architect versus partnership. You can imagine who led that discussion. That was Denise Scott Brown in the 70s talking about that, way before Pritzker Prize or anything. They talked about bringing a deeper understanding to architecture, and that was led by my mother, Lale Bakhtiar, as well as Ann Ting. They talked about addressing sociological issues, and that was led by Jane Drew and Alison Smithson, and engaging the community. And that was led by our Joyce Whitley and others. So really, they were a voice for change. And that was the spark for me. By witnessing women collaborating to affect change, it inspired me to want to be an architect and to someday join a women architects group, which I did, both in Boston and in Silicon Valley, to recreate not just the camaraderie, but that moment of working towards a better world. And a dream of pulling together an international conference of women architects someday that I could participate in professionally rather than, as a teenage attendee. And because of our Iranian culture, the individual matters less than the community. It's much more about the tribe and not about going solo. So that was another thing that resonated with me. But whom do I actually owe my inspiration to is my mom, Lale Bakhtiar, my personal hero. She's the daughter of an Iranian doctor, Abul Qasim Bakhtiar, and an American nurse, Helen Jeffries. The story of that, her parents, is fascinating by itself, and we'll tell that another time. So mom is a hybrid. We used to call her Happy. being half Iranian, half American. She was born in Iran, but she was raised in the US and went through World War II in California as a child, then attended Catholic school in Maryland, and then Chatham College in Pennsylvania. She insisted that I attend an all-women's college, and I did. I went to Wellesley College. And she also lived back and forth on 2 continents. An author in her own right, after the book they wrote together, she wrote Sufi, Expressions of the Mystic Quest. Sufism is a mystical dimension of Islam. And she became a world-renowned Islamic scholar and a moral healer. Really, she was a champion of women's perspective on spirituality. Her journey was one of lifelong curiosity and passion for learning, and I hope I inherited that. Despite personal challenges, she was an eternal optimist. After their divorce, she started a publishing house in Iran focused on women in Islam, and it was kind of groundbreaking at the time. Together, we went through the Islamic Revolution and the hostage crisis in Iran in the late 70s. My father was not there. And then I left Iran in 1980. Mom stayed behind, and then it was the Iran-Iraq War. So altogether, she went through 2 wars and a revolution. Eventually, she moved back to the US and began her master's degree at age 50 in philosophy and counseling psychology, and then eventually got her PhD from UNM in educational foundations. She'd always say it's never too late. She was a scholar in residence at Kazi Publications in Chicago and translated the Canon of Medicine by Avicenna, which is from the year 1025. It was the authoritative book on medical knowledge for centuries, about 5 volumes, only one of which was 700 pages. She translated then the Quran as the first American woman to do so in 1,400 years of men translating it. Her translation is more equitable, for example, replacing the word mankind with humankind. There is a chapter on women in the Quran, and instead of where it says if a husband is angry at his wife, he can hit her, she translated it as go away from her. And she researched that the root word had 16 different variations, but it had been the men's interpretation that had put in the word that had kind of caused abuse over the centuries. And she believed that true Islam would have respected women. And this was really transformative. And she changed the lives of hundreds of women because now there was an alternate translation for them to look to. So that obviously inspired me also to be an ambassador and advocate. But she was also our family historian. Over 5 decades, she gathered 5,000 family letters that her parents and siblings wrote together. And she used the letters to write her parents' autobiographies, which are the 2 books you see here. She printed the letters that they wrote in 35 volumes, which is the other photo you see of all the book covers, documenting really diaspora stories back and forth. And one story, for example, Helen, her mother, volunteered to go to Iran under President Truman's Point 4 program. As a nurse, Helen inoculated the villagers and talked to them about public health. So talk about deja vu now and COVID. So in the end, the villagers appreciated her work so much, they named a mountainous area, Helen, in the Zagros Mountains. So yes, there is a mountain in Iran named after an American woman. So there are lessons to be learned when we share stories about East and West. We really can understand from each other's cultures. And this has led to my passion for intersectionality. And when does it matter to be an advocate? Well, every day. I would say you have to be an advocate every day, and especially before it's too late. So my mom passed away in October 2020. And I recall when we used to talk to each other every day, she would wake up at 5 a.m., just full of eagerness and intention to make a difference every day. She has a global following. She has altogether about 182 works, whether it's she wrote, translated, edited, and these are held in over 3,000 libraries around the world. So words matter even after you're gone. The group WISE, which is Women's Islamic Initiative in Spirituality and Equality, gave her a Lifetime Achievement Award posthumously. She has 8 lovely grandchildren, all of whom she was there for when they were born. So she was also, aside from being very much a scholar, she was also, very much a grandmother. And my siblings and I hope to continue her legacy with the nonprofit institute that she founded. We stand on her shoulders and her mother's shoulders before that. We think of her especially at spring, as some of you are celebrating St. Patrick's Day, Iranians celebrate first day of spring, which is on Saturday, March 20. The equinox brings a new year. Her name Lale means tulip, which is a symbol of spring and renewal. We asked in lieu of flowers for her passing to have trees planted at the US National Forest. And actually in her name, 2,300 trees were planted. So talk about renewal. Talk about words mattering. And I'd like to close with a quote from her high school yearbook. My plume on high, my flag unfurled, I rode away to save the world. Indeed you did, Mom. Indeed you did. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Moni. That was a wonderful presentation. Your mother was a very inspiring person, but also your father as well. You were very lucky.
Very lucky, yes. Thank you.
All right. So we are going to move into our spring social. Chris.
Yes. So
Wait. Sorry.
Oh, go
We
ahead.
have a guest who's from Evergreen Valley College. Chris and Jennifer, do you guys recall?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll introduce her. We have a guest, another Moni from Evergreen Valley College, who we've been working with on our community college to career lecture series. And in the process of kind of working on the lecture series with her, she also had this great pitch to the Women in Architecture for an internship program that essentially pairs community college students who are studying architecture with local firms. And we said that, you know, it was a great idea. We thought it was something that our whole chapter would benefit from hearing from. And so I'd like Moni to go ahead and unmute yourself and kind of share with everyone your idea and kind of the call to action for the firm leaders who are here today.
Yes, thank you, Kate. I'm honored to be here this evening, and Moni, I'm honored. I don't know how to flow after that because that's just, you know, I've learned so much. Just let you know. So just a history of myself. I'm Moni Pon Dickerson. I go by Moni, MANI, but I am the Dean for Business and Workforce Development here at Evergreen Valley College. I am actually a refugee from Laos, first generation. I have my bachelor's from Quinnipiac University, my MBA from Southern Connecticut State University, and my PhD from University of South Florida. And I made my way here in California, now going on 5 years. So I had the pleasure of meeting Kate and Jennifer, and this is an opportunity where I wanted to, in light of the discussion with Moni and her work, with her mother's work, of what it really means to transform and look at how we conduct workforce development. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Sure. Share my screen. Oops. I've done several presentations today, so excuse me like this. Okay. Here's my. First, I wanted to share and say, has anybody heard of Evergreen Valley College? Does anybody? No? Yes. Okay. Have you worked with two-year institutions? I guess no. Yes. Okay. So Evergreen Valley College is located in by Yerba Bueno and San Felipe. We're right behind the Morgan Hill, nice pristine pathways. So Evergreen Valley College is only 45 years old, and we're on the campus, a pristine campus, and we consist of several things, but I wanted to focus on really what Kate and I have talked about. If I share the screen, then I won't see everybody's face, but I will share this slide. The thing about Zoom practice is like when you share it, it will not see everybody's face. I'm just going to leave this section right here. So I wanted to talk about workforce diversity. So we're on the cusp of pipeline with a direct purpose. When we discuss workforce diversity, everybody's saying, you know, there's not enough pipeline, there's not enough women in it, there's not enough student of color in it. But there is. but we just have to be intentional and purposeful. And that's what I think Mani's mom did. She was intentional and purposeful. We can no longer sit and wait for it to happen. We have to be intentional and purposeful. So my pitch to you and your organization is that I think we have to be, not I think we do have to be intentional and purposeful. If your organization is really serious about increasing the number of women are in architecture and then the diversity of communities of color and different groups of all walks of life to be architecture, then we have to be intentional and purposeful. And why is community colleges, but especially Evergreen Valley College, is positioned and poised to do that with your organization, is that community colleges are built off first generations, community color, mostly women. So let me give you some demographics of Evergreen Valley College. So this is our demographics at Evergreen Valley College is not any news that mostly women take degrees, have the highest, are attending colleges higher than males. And our ethnic breakdown is this is based on a survey that we did about students' response, but we're 40% Asian, but with the Asian population, we disaggregate the data. We're 38% Southeast Asian, first generation students, Asian. We're African American students, 2%, and we're Latina X population. We're at 40, actually we're close to 42%. So community colleges actually have a diversity of students. It's the pipeline to get you there. So at Evergreen Valley College and working with my president and my vice president, equity and diversity is a primary key access. And so with our district goal too, the impact of community to make sure that the pipeline is very clear and diverse. So what does Evergreen Valley College have for architecture? We do have a pipeline, so I want to say, so our pipeline is also directly from high schools that's in the community. So the other goal is that we want to find jobs and careers and occupations that service that are in the community, because we know that you hire local, they will stay local, and it builds up the community and the economics. So our students come from Eastside Union, and then our students come from San Jose Unified, Campbell, Milpitas, Metro Ed, which is a hub for career workforce, and then Santa Clara County. So, but our biggest population comes from is Eastside Union. This is dual enrollment numbers, where one of our plans is to make sure the pipelines are clear, is that we provide students who are in high school, they can get free college credit, what we call dual enrollment, while they're going through high school. So they can actually take college credit and be equivalent to their high school degrees, so they don't have to take everything else, but it's free for them. Everything's provided. So students are finishing a certificate while they're finishing a high school degree at the same time. That is possible. Okay. And then the next one is, so we have several courses and certificates. So our certificates are based and aligned to the workforce needs. But the most one that is really aligned to your association is what we call our Building Information Modeling Certificate of Achievement. And it has architecture courses in it, and it has outline course, and I can provide a PowerPoint to Kate to provide you. So again, why is this important? Our goal at Evergreen Valley College is increasing the completion and workforce development pipeline for the student of color and community color. So as you see over the years, we have increased the number of credits that students earn, especially in the student of color, African American students. The number is not there because the scale is so low at 2%, but we have increased at least 1% over time with the African American student population, with Asian students at 11%, and then Hispanic student who gain 1 year and up one other year. And then this year, as you know, enrollment has gone down towards COVID, but our student population for Latino Hispanic students are still within the range of 38%. And then the white, other population, white students there. Going on to the importance of the diversity and employment. our students, when they complete the training at Evergreen Valley College, they are satisfied in experiencing the education and training. The training is connected to how we provide the work-based learning. So as you all know, there is technical skills that you can learn in class, but there are skills that you can only learn once you're in that company. I don't call them soft skills anymore, but they're foundational skills that you know about team building, communication, and there's technical skills that you need to know as an architecture. So we have created two types of pipelines that students can take experience with companies and firms, and is apprenticeship and internships. Yeah, we do both. And it's just give you a little outline of what's the difference from an internship and apprenticeship, right? An internship has smaller duration, few months, years, whereas an apprenticeship is a year long. And why am I pitching it to you is that as we move to enhance our building information modeling program to an AAS degree, we would like to ensure that our students get an experience through an internship or apprenticeship with your affiliations, but not purposely, but it's really to increase the number of females in that pipeline and increase the number of student of color in that pipeline. So as you know, we work before they get, even if we're building an associate's degree that can move up to a transfer level to be a BA in architecture. So we have a high transfer rate. So my pitch to the organization is think of the opportunity that you can provide our students if we partner in providing internship opportunities or apprenticeship opportunities, especially for females who are in this pipeline and student of colors who are in this pipeline. They just need that experience, but also architecture, they want to do it, but they really don't see more females or student or of diverse population within that field. So this is a great alignment with your goal of making sure there's an equitable and diverse workforce for the occupation architectures. So I want to partner with the organizations to see how we can frame an internship possibility or apprenticeship possibility with the organization. We have students ready and prime. Some of the students are taking both what they call, what we have the CAD, which is our computer aided design certificate, and BIM, because they know that's building on their architectural background that they want to do when they transfer. I stop right now and maybe give you a chance to cricket questions and answers. And I know you have a social event that I don't want to be between that.
We put you in a tough spot, Monty.
That's okay. No.
I have a question for you. Are summer internships or internships during the school year better for community college students?
Actually, we will customize it to what makes available to you. So we have students can do, if you have a summer, we'll have summer. If you have fall, we'll have fall. So if you want to do it year round, so you want to make it customized to the organization or to the company, affiliate companies that are with your, the firms that are here. And we will, we also have a model right now that we're doing with our advanced manufacturing a consortium group, where we filter out until it gets to the cream of the crop for you, right? So we do an information session first about your firm. We learn about what skill sets you need, and we have a career coach throughout that pipeline to build the students' resume, interview them. And if they get assigned to your site or your firm, that career coach will also check up on it. So how was today? Did you communicate well? Because we know it can be challenging to balance work, school, home, and the pressures, because our community college students have a dream of making it a life for their family and their spouses, their siblings. But we also want to make sure we have the safety net for that he or she is successful in making that happen. So to answer your question, it's really, we will customize it to you and make sure that our student is successful when they're there. So there's no, there's a small margin of error for failure. So
sounds great. I'll leave it open to other questions, but if anyone is interested in having a community college come for an internship or apprenticeship who knows loads of building
Right, and-
information modeling, I'm happy to be the conduit between Money and you. I'm happy to make the introduction via email. I'll just throw that out there and then leave it to others.
I think somebody had a question, their hands raised. Mr. Patel. His hands raised. We don't hear you, you're muted. Nope, still muted. Now we can hear you. Oh, no. Is it just me or can you hear him?
I can't hear him either.
Do you want to type it in the chat?
Or you can email me.
Yes, yes.
There you are.
Oh, no, we can hear you now.
I live in community, like half a mile away from Celebration College. But just not there. So I'm very well aware of it. I took some classes also. Not very famous.
I think in the interest of.
Yeah.
So the reason,
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe,
I got it.
maybe.
So I'm interested in communicating further regarding the either teaching the CAD or Revit.
It's very difficult to hear you. Can you type it in the chat or email me after? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I just heard that he is interested. Great, we will be able to send you our CAD
Yeah.
students but we will make sure that, we'll meet with you, understand what candidacy level you want, and then the career coach will make sure the student is prime and prep, and you get to interview them. We'll give you 3 or 4 students whose resume and have been prime and prep for you to interview them, and then once you select them, we'll make sure we follow up with the student and get with you the schedule. So we will be with the student all through the process until you feel like, I think they could be fully hired, or they can be going to, getting their degree or fill out. And then I encourage also the scholarship that you have move to a community college level too, not just a bachelor's level. So
Great.
that's my other pitch. So
Okay. Thank you so much, Monty. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Sorry to
no
give you a limited time, but
No
it was
worries.
so great to see you.
Right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great
Thank you, Monty.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Great, that was terrific. Kate, thank you for organizing that. And with that, we're going to move on to the introduction of our cocktail restaurant host tonight, Stephen Shelton, who's joining us from Lexington House in Los Gatos. I'm going to suggest everyone, well, first, if you're in gallery view, if you know of Lexington House Restaurant, raise your hand. I know there are many Los Gatos architects members on the call today, which is great. So Stephen is going to assist us in making a real old fashioned. We had, and I'm going to apologize in advance, some folks, the lime made contact with the sugar cube. And so you might have a little bit softer of sugar cube for your cocktail. So I apologize for that. But if you put your view into speaker view, you'll be able to see him a little bit larger than gallery view so that you can actually see what he's doing. And Stephen, are you there? Can you kick us off?
There we go. There we go. It's weird. Technology these days has been a little interesting for sure. So I can see, you can probably see me, but I can't see you guys right now.
Oh, I need to, here we go. Sorry, my fault.
Thank you very much. There we go.
There,
Now I see everybody. All right. So
there we go.
I can't see myself. So unfortunately, hopefully it'll be give me a different view gallery. There we go. Bingo. Sorry about that, guys. Technology is not my forte by any means. So hopefully everyone can hear me just fine. There might be a little bit of a background noise there. We do have a kitchen going. You are open for service. I was going to do this at home, but I thought the restaurant is probably a better setting for it with the bar going on behind me, a little glow and aura behind me, angelic kind of a thing. My apologies for the biggest challenge was sending this stuff out and trying to figure out how to do it properly and make sure you get the right product. So hopefully the flask came beautifully intact and no cracks. Nice little keepsake for you folks. Sugar cube and the cherry, the lime twist. Unfortunately, got a little messed up, right, Kristen? Some of them got a little bit, a little bit of chemistry there, but it's okay. So we'll walk through the process. So, happy St. Patrick's Day. So, why do an old fashioned? So, I don't know what you guys typically drink or don't drink. We're gonna walk through the simple process of the cocktail itself, just how to make it. And if you have any questions, please raise your hand and I'll call on you during the process. It's not that, I'm not super strict here. I'm pretty casual. But just so you know, just the reason I chose the old fashioned is essentially definition of cocktail. So any booze you use can be used as an old fashioned. So old fashioned definition is basically booze, water, sugar, bitters, and some kind of garnish. Now, I'll give you a sugar cube is originally we used back in the day, which is the 1800s. They would use sugar cube. This is way before stoves and simple syrup. So you'll notice probably your recipe says simple syrup or sugar cube. So if you want to be super traditional, you can take the sugar cube, muddle it down, put your booze in there and go through the process. Or you can make it a simple syrup. If someone wants to ask how to make that, I can let you know, not a problem at all. So, but today's drink is the classic old fashioned. It's about as simple and pure as you can get as a cocktail can be. Again, all you're kind of doing is sweetening it up and adding some water to it in some cases to basically make it palatable. Because cocktails back in the day were made to make booze palatable. Back in the day, booze was very strong, not always very good, but it served a purpose, of course, to get you on to the next saloon or to the next town where you're selling your products, or to fix any ailments that you may have in your belly or sickness, scurvy and the like. So that's kind of where the old fashioned came from. That's how cocktails started. You had bad booze, they would make it good by putting some bitters in there for your stomach, put some sugar in it, fancy it up, and give it to the folks across the bar. So that's kind of where we are. So everyone has their tools or something similar to tools and glassware and such, I hope. You have your, you're good. Random bitters, can be any kind of bitters at all. You got your flask and your whiskey. Oh, orange bitters. Nice, Kristen. She's all set. Cool. So, again, you can do any bitters you want. So, basically, you're doing, if you want to do whiskey, tequila, rum, brandy, gin, vodka, does not matter at all. The idea basically is a cocktail where you choose the booze you like, put a little sugar in it, put a little bitters in there, you doctor it up, swirl it, garnish it, and be about your merry way and give it to your guests. So I'm going to show you the basic process of it. I'll show you some nice tools here. And later on, email me or have Kristen have me email me, and I can give you some links if you want to move further on some recipes or get the drinks and their glassware and proper utensils, all the tools you want to have. I can give you some links to stuff to buy. All right. Any questions so far before I start moving on? Raise your hand now. Oh, Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer.
What kind of whiskey did you say this is?
That's Irish whiskey, of course.
Irish. All right.
This is actually specifically a very nice whiskey. It's a 10-year Irish whiskey called Kilbin. Yeah. So it's a single barrel 10-year Irish whiskey. So very, very good stuff. So of course, St. Patrick's Day, hence the green lime, the lime twist. I had some green somewhere. Kristen and I tried to figure out how to make a green like a celebratory. So that was the gist of it. I mean, any kind of citrus works fine for a garnish. The idea is just give it some liveliness. So it works. So
yeah, we didn't want to send cream de mint.
Yeah. An Irish whiskey, just so you guys know, is basically a cross between bourbon whiskey and Scotch whiskey. Just a grain whiskey with sometimes corn in there, but mostly just barley and grains and not smoky as all. That's the only difference between that and Scotch. All right. So it's a grain whiskey, malt and barley typically. All right. So without further ado, I have some fancy tools here. So we have I'm going to show you the way we traditionally do it in the bar. Is what you have at home, what I gave you guys, a sugar cube and a glass, right? So this is the same idea, but I have simple syrup. So I'm just going to put my tools in here, right? So I have my mixing glass. You guys have all your glasses? Yeah, my glass, of course, here. Hold one moment. I got my bitters, of course. My simple syrup. Now, in this case, simple syrup instead of a sugar cube. Just so you guys know, simple syrup, it's easy to remember this. All just sugar and water, equal parts, melted down. So that's all you got to do. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Super easy. All right. So I got my, where'd Jennifer go? There she's over there to my left. You moved on me. You were over there. I use a very nice whiskey. Sorry to rub it in, but this is a nice yellow spot. I might as well celebrate tonight. It's a good day. So I'm using yellow spot whiskey. If you can find it, get it. It's quite delicious. Not expensive, just it's hard to get. So it's a fantastic Irish whiskey. All right. So the beautiful thing about this cocktail is you can use any amount of whiskey you want to use. It's all ratio. So 1 ounce, 2 ounces, 4 ounces, 7 ounces, whatever you want to do. It's not a problem. Depending what kind of day you're having. So my day is pretty decent. I'm going to use 2 ounces. Standard is 2 ounces. So I'm going to use 2 ounces of whiskey. So pour my whiskey into here. That's ready to go. And my simple syrup. I'll measure that. 1/4 ounce. All right. All right, we're all set. So now, everyone's good so far? I love it. Kelly Lloyd has a wooden spoon. I'm not calling you out. It's good. I use a butter knife at home sometimes. It all works just fine. All right. So now we have your slurry going. Perfect. Got a slurry going. Excellent. All right. I'm doing the same thing. My stuff's going in. And my juice right here. Now bitters is I'm using bitters in this. So 2 dashes, 3 dashes, 4 dashes, whatever you want to do, it's fine. Think of bitters as your salts for your soup or something. So you can do any kind of flavor you want. So I'm using orange bitters, but think of it like anything else. Think of it as just salt, seasoning. If it's too sweet, that's more bitters. Not a big deal. Keith Blaine, I'm not calling you out there. I saw your dashes. Those are pretty good dashes. Remember, with a bottle, it's physics. So when you're dashing, make sure you have a good dash. I mean, it's not drops, they're actually dashes. So think of a dash like a ½ inch or an inch. Just get a good shake in there, all right? All right, so everything in here, all right? I'm gonna stir it up a little bit. Give it a little mix, that's all I'm doing. Getting all slurry going. All right, so I got my booze. In your case, a little bit of water. Everybody put water in yours? Melt a little down a little bit. Muddle it, slurry it. We're good? All right. I'm going to go right back. I'm going to go over here to get some ice. Back in a moment. All right. So just to pause for a moment. Everyone has their booze. No one's got ice yet. It's okay. I'm showing you my mixer here. When you put ice in, you want to have about 2 inches above your liquid. That's a good barometer for your mix. Because you want to chill it enough, but also dilute it as well. So it's a good balance to make sure it's definitely icy cold, but also diluted enough to make it palatable. Makes sense? About 2 inches of ice above your liquid. So you can see, you can kind of see, I guess. Ice about 2 inches above. All right. I'm gonna give a little mix again here for you. This thing, use a knife. Yeah. Honestly, I saw Kelly using a wooden spoon. You can use a knife too. Knife works really well for stirring. All right. We're good? Apart? All right. All right, since I was using a mixing glass, I had this in. I'm going to pour all this into my glass because my cup is that you were using straight into a cup. So I'm going to have my mixing glass here. I'm dumping it into my glass. All right. Put my ice in there. Now, ideally, once you've added your ice and stirred it, you should be about 3/4 full. Where are we there? Letitia, she has hers. That's pretty good. Anyone else have an example? Oh, Kelly's got hers. Nice. Perfect. Mary, Neil went away. All right. Awesome. Who's Kent's background? Kent, you have a great background. Where are you? Where is that? All right. So now the most important part. We got our drink. Ice is in there. It's all stirred. We're gonna we have our cherries. Everyone have their cherries? No container? Oh, nice job, Kelly. All right. Keith got his. Boop. All right, awesome. Yeah, my cherry as well. All right, this little guy goes plop right into the drink. All right. I like to give it a little stir again to get that cherry in there, mix around a little bit, just the flavor. Sure. All right. Does anyone have their lime twist that actually looks somewhat decent? My apologies. Do you have it? Okay, cool. That's a little bit. Keith, you're laughing. I don't know. Is that pretty bad? Is it? I knew it was a worry. Like a couple days in the shipping, I was like, well, we'll see what happens. So it was a test. It was a test. Yeah, it came out okay. So next time I'll put it in a separate container. That is what it is. All right. So idea behind the twist, why we do this, is just the oils. It actually does make a huge difference in your drink. It's just like salt, like the bitters. In this case, we're using this. So I'm gonna have one here for you. And there's two sides, right, to your peel, right? There's the white pith side. There's a nice, beautiful skin side, right?
My cherries are
Skin side, you want to put over the glass
soaked in bourbon, so I did not use my.
and squeeze fast and hard to express the oils into the glass. Make sense? So I'm gonna do this. I'll show you how to do it. Like this. Squeeze really hard. Rub the glass around so you get all the oils in the glass into the drink. Plop it in. And voila. You got a beautiful drink there. All right. Bam. Oh, nice green. Very nice. Letitia's got it. All right. Actually, you'll smell the citrus quite a bit actually. All right. Now you have your classic old-fashioned on St. Patty's Day. All right.
It's super good.
Mancha.
It's
Made my
a
day.
very good whiskey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
It's just not a huge deal, but it is Stefan, just so everyone knows.
Okay.
I'll get it. I spelled the wrong way. All right. Any questions? I don't want to go too fast, but I don't want to bore people. It's meant to be somewhat entertaining. My aura is starting to change with the light coming through the glass.
What about muddling? When would you muddle your cherry?
That's an interesting point. Muddling started when you had the sugar cube, right? So you muddle your sugar cube down. I know some people muddle cherries and oranges, and that's totally fine to do that. It just kind of became
Don't you say hi to Warren?
passe or kind of out of not wanting to do it because it was kind of I don't want to say bastardization, but it was kind of an 80s thing when the cocktails weren't really good.
No.
It was the fake cherries and the fake oranges and all that kind of stuff. So that's why. So people still do like to muddle it. It's totally fine. But to keep your drink more clean and keep your chunks of orange out of it, it's better to like just do the peel. So.
And what can we use instead of bitters? Because I didn't notice that we needed bitters until this afternoon.
You can use whatever you want to. You can use honestly a little bit of salt if you wanted to. Not use bitters at all. Use extra orange peel or lemon peel, whatever you want. Because the orange peel and lemon peel all has bittering agents in it as well. The pith especially. So in lieu of bitters, you can do like 3 or 4 orange peels or lemon peels, whatever. That bitterness always it's just to kind of cut that sweetness out. That's all it's trying to do.
Great.
And use a knife, use a wooden spoon, stir stick, steak knife, it doesn't really matter. It's all good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Stefan. That was
Sorry. All
that
good.
was really fun. And and just to give you a little self promotion, can you tell us what are you open? Do you have patio seating?
Yeah, actually we've been open short of obviously being automatic shutdowns, but we've been open since day one. We took a couple days off. But yeah, patio dining, indoor dining is 25% right now, I do believe. Bar seating is not quite available yet. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but yeah, outdoor dining. We have plenty of space outdoors. I'm very fortunate. I have a corner spot in Los Gatos, so I'm able to spread my tables out probably 7-8 feet apart. So it's pretty pretty fair distance. We have plenty of heaters. Indoor dining's the same. I'm pretty spread out, so I'm very fortunate to have a decent sized space. So, but yeah, food and drink are all fantastic. So, but
I also put in the chat, Stephen, because I'm in Los Gatos and we've been trying to get in for 2 weekends and you're full. So book ahead because they get full.
we do get, there are some times available. You can I always do save some tables for walk-ins, but always stop in. Because I remember on the not to bore you guys, the reservations, everything's based on a certain time frame. So a lot of people don't finish, they finish up early. So there's always gaps in reservations. So the computers that know when people finish up, it can't deal with that. So there's always open tables. So come on down and we'll find a spot for you guys. Or plan ahead. It's all good.
Or plan ahead,
I
yeah.
want to guarantee, yeah.
And Stefan, in the chat, we had someone come up just now asking if you could just go over the amounts in the recipe again.
Oh, certainly, of course, yeah. So basically, it's for lack of a better word, it's basically 4 to 1. So whatever booze you're using. So in this case, it's 2 ounces of booze, 2 ounces of alcohol, 1/4 ounce to a 1/2 ounce of sweetener, and a couple dashes of bitters. That's it. That's if you have a simple syrup. If you're doing sugar cube, just 1 sugar cube, a little bit of water. So, but you can gauge however you want to do it. I usually start with 2 ounces, and you can move up your alcohol if you want less sweet. But as you can taste that, it's not a super sweet drink at all. It's pretty well balanced. So, yeah, 2 ounces, a little bit of sugar in there, bitters, you're good to go. And honestly, I use tequila most of the time. Tequila's a great one to use as well, or even brandy. It's pretty fantastic. So. Don't be locked into like doing bourbon only. Any booze, any spirit will do. It's fun to play around with different ones. Mezcal, rum, they're all pretty fun to play with.
And
or
tell
mix two.
Tell us again the one you used. I'm usually not a brown liquor fan, but I like this drink.
This is called Kinnebeg.
Spell it.
Whiskey.
How's it spelled?
KINNEBAGNA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's delicious, yeah.
All right.
I would also Redbreast. You can find Redbreast. Redbreast is pretty awesome too.
Can you show us the label?
Which one? Yep. The Redbreast bird, easy to find. This by far makes an amazing, amazing old fashioned. A little pricier, but I'm sure you're worth it.
Great. All right. Well, if anyone has any more questions, recipe, interest, just email me and I'll get you in touch with Stefan, and if not, go in and see him.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Email me anytime. I'm happy to answer questions.
Great.
Again, demystify the mystery of cocktails. It's pretty straightforward stuff. All right, a fun history.
Okay.
All right, well, thanks for improvising with the twist and the sugar, the wooden spoons and all.
All right. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. You guys take care, man.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so now that everyone has a proper cocktail in front of them, and if you don't and you want a non-alcoholic or take a minute to go get something else, feel free. So I'm going to kick us off into rooms so that everyone can socialize in a smaller group. And so I encourage everyone that's going to break out to please make sure that your video is on. It's always awkward when you're in a room with some blank screens.